Hi everyone, my name is Sheena Crawford, and we're going to jump right into exercise 6 of the Holistic Health Program. And today we're going to talk about understanding the power of positive thinking. And we're going to go over the importance of thoughts, importance of thankfulness, replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts, and how to identify the root of our thoughts. So, thoughts create matter. Every time we have a thought, neurons in our brain fire, creating an electrochemical reaction, and this reaction creates mass or matter. So there are many studies that show this interaction, but this particular study shows that matter can be created with electric energy, just as science has shown that the electric field in our brain creates matter. So our thoughts can create our reality, and we condition our brains every time we stimulate the neurons through our senses. So our brains can be rewired. And we can do this by reconditioning and consistently re-stimulating neurons in a desired way. So we said it multiple times in this program, to rewire, neurons must what? Fire. And our behavior redirection techniques and cognitive behavioral techniques, all of these help us with achieving that goal. Now, the importance of thoughts. Thoughts can quickly become habits, and our habits dictate our circumstances. So, to change our circumstances, we have to change our habits. And to change our habits, we have to change our thoughts. We think thousands of thoughts subconsciously and unknowingly every single day. And for our thoughts to change, we must acknowledge them. And they may be undesirable thoughts, things that we don't even want to believe that we're even thinking, but we have to acknowledge them in order to correct them. Now, studies on thoughts. There is a study right here, many studies, I just chose a few, where cancer patients were assessed for optimism and quality of life. They were assessed at diagnosis, so when they were diagnosed, and then they were assessed again when they were at their 12-month mark after their surgery. And what they found was that the cancer patients that were positive and optimistic, they had a better quality of life. And the ones that were pessimistic, they felt hopeless or they felt helpless. And it had a negative effect on their quality of life. And obviously, if we are diagnosed with anything that is traumatic and it's something that is extremely unpleasant, so understandably, someone would have some negative thoughts and emotions around that. This, though, is just assessing whether that optimism was actually a factor in their quality of life or not. And it was. And then there was another study. This one looked at optimism as well. And it showed that those that were optimistic had better outcomes when they were recovering from coronary artery bypass surgery. There were also other findings that suggest beneficial effects for those that are optimistic versus those who are pessimistic and how they deal with stress or cope with stress. And then there's another study, the last study that I'm going to give you for this exercise. This one reviewed literature for 225 papers that comprised over 275,000 participants. That is a lot of people. Their review revealed that the positive affect or mood fosters sociability and activity, altruism, liking of self and others, strong bodies and immune systems, and effective conflict resolution skills. Being positive, being optimistic, it affected these individuals in all of these vast variety of ways. Now, the importance of thankfulness. This Dr. Robert Emmons, he actually is kind of built his career around studying gratitude and thankfulness. He studied 1,000 participants from 8 years old to 80 years old, and he asked them to journal their gratitude for 3 weeks. This study found that those who practiced gratitude consistently, they were less bothered by aches and pains, they had lower blood pressure, they had increased exercise, longer sleep, they were more refreshed when they woke up, and they had more joy and optimism. They also had less feelings of loneliness and isolation. And I'll give you a personal example. I remember one time my mom, I was talking to her, and she just felt so, discouraged with certain things that were happening in her life. And she was being a little pessimistic. So I, knowing the impact of being thankful and grateful, I told her, Mom, why don't we go ahead and list 20 things that you're grateful for? I know that's an odd thing to request of someone when they are telling you how they feel about a particular situation, but I knew that that would make her feel better. That would help her. And she was about to go to work, and I wanted her to have a good day at work. So she said that she didn't want to do it, which most people don't. When they're not in the mood, they're not thinking about listing things that they're grateful for and thankful for. So I said, okay, I'll go ahead and get you started. I took a piece of paper. I wrote number 1 through 20 on the piece of paper, and I started telling her what I thought she was grateful for. So I said, number 1, I think you're grateful for life. You're grateful to be alive. So I wrote that. I said, I think even though your job may be frustrating, you're grateful to have a job. So I wrote that. And I just continued writing it. And then once we got to about 9 or 10, she started to contribute, and she would say, well, I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for that. We got to 20 and we were done. I left out of the house for a little bit, and then she went to work, and I came back in, and I looked at the piece of paper that she had purposefully put in the middle of the table, and she added 21. I'm grateful for my daughter, Sheena. And I'm pretty sure she went to work with a smile on her face, and she had an improved outlook on what her day would be like that day. So even if we don't feel like doing a gratefulness exercise or being thankful, it genuinely, scientifically helps. Now, replacing negative thoughts. We must consider our mind and life as a garden and our thoughts as seeds. Whatever we plant in our garden, whatever we water, whatever we provide attention to the most, that is what's going to grow. So if we are providing attention, if we're planting and providing attention to and watering negative thoughts, those are the things that are going to grow in our life. If we are doing the opposite with positive thoughts and positive things, then that is what's going to grow in our lives. So consider our mind as our garden. What are you planting? What are you watering? What are you giving time and attention to? What are you nurturing? Now, if you are not joining us on the spiritual health component, then at this point you're going to write 20 things that you're grateful for, and you're going to correct negative thoughts about yourself. As usual, just complete the exercises as they are provided to you in the Holistic Health Program. And for those that are joining us on the spiritual health component, we are going to go to that now. So we're going to look at overcoming the spirit of fear. And we are going to review how to correct our thoughts and the importance of feeding our mind positivity. So Psalm, first, renewing our mind. Psalm 19:4 through 5 says, their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. Ephesians 4:23 says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. We need to allow God's Holy Spirit to renew our mind. We need to understand that as many exercises as we do, as many behavioral redirection techniques as we do, as many evidence-based practices, as we incorporate, the most effective is God's Holy Spirit. 2 Corinthians 4:16 says, "For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day." So renewing our mind is a daily process. It does not happen overnight. We have to be patient with ourselves and gentle with ourselves. Love casts out fear. 1 John 4:18 says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love." So we need to understand and focus on love, as we talked about in this same exercise, but in the mental health component, that what we feed our garden, what we plant and what we water, what we give attention to, it should be love, not fear, not negative thoughts. It should be those things that are pleasant, those things that are good. Philippians 4:8 says, "Focus on positive thoughts." Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. So again, we need to focus on the things that are positive, no matter what our circumstances may bring us. There's still something to be grateful for. So, correcting negative thoughts. We need to acknowledge and correct and reject any thoughts that are negative, especially if it's something about ourselves. Sometimes we might think thoughts like, "I'm not deserving of this," or "I'm not worthy," or just, and I don't even want to say it. But those are some of the thoughts that some people think about themselves. All of these thoughts need to be caught and need to be rejected. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, "Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ." We need to bring into captivity those thoughts, catch those thoughts, reject those thoughts. James 4:7 says, "Submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." We also need to watch what we feed our minds. A lot of times, these thoughts, especially the subconscious ones, enter because we are feeding our minds that. Again, our mind is like a garden. So if that's what we are planting, that is what's going to, and we're feeding it that, we're nurturing that, we're giving that attention, that's what's going to grow. So Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." Now, some of the things that we watch, we may think, "Oh, this is innocent, it's not real, it doesn't matter." But we again have to consider the scientific way our minds work. I don't have time in this video to go into all of that. There are many videos that talk about how our mind responds to the things that we see, even if it is videos, and how we mirror those things in our mind. How sometimes we do not disassociate ourselves from those things. It's as if we ourselves are doing it. So as innocent as it may seem, or as much as we may think it doesn't really affect us, it is becoming a subconscious thought. And so we have to be careful. Watch what we're feeding our minds. Thoughts form habits. Luke 6:45 says, "A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh." And Matthew 7:20 says, "Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them." What we put in our minds come out as words, and our words become our actions. We have to be careful about our thoughts. and what we're allowing to continue to be thoughts. Now, for those that have come with us on this spiritual health component, now you're going to write your faith statements and any situations that you know God impacted. Again, more information is in the Holistic Health Program to guide you through that exercise. But for now, we're going to go ahead and go into the next exercise.